So a couple years ago, I wanted to try out brewing with some fruit from my backyard. We've got cherries, raspberries, blackberries, and even some mulberries they're growing. And I thought a good base beer for that would just be a sort of generic lambic-ish pale sour. I also had some old Cascade hops that I'd been growing in the yard that never had a really great punchy aroma to them. And so I'd ended up just drying them, letting them age for about 3 years, as is traditional for lambics, to add to the boil. With all these natural, local, special ingredients, I then kind of wimped out when I went with the actual brewing process. I did wheat malt extract, which is about 50-50 barley and wheat. And to add some unfermentables to power the Brettanomyces over the long souring period, I added some maltodextrin, about ½ a pound for 5 gallons, and 4 ounces of wheat flour to add some carbohydrates. So with that base beer fermenting, aging, I pitched Y-yeast lambic blend, which provided all of the necessary lactic acid bacteria and wild yeast. After about a year, I transferred it to a 1-gallon jug. We don't get huge harvests here, and added about ¼ pound each of the fruits as they were ready. In the case of the cherries and the blackberries, they're relatively condensed harvests, and so I was able to just take them and add them all together. For the raspberries, though, I took them slowly as they were harvested, a little handful here, a few berries there, and added them in. I didn't take any videos of the process, so it's a year later, and these are some videos of the harvest for the fruit this year. As you can also see, the birds are very fond of our backyard fruit collection. It was funny, actually. Last year we netted the cherry tree, and the birds were trying to get in there, and I eventually got an okay harvest. This year the tree had gotten so big that it didn't seem worth trying that again, and for whatever reason the birds almost completely ignored the cherries, and we got an even bigger harvest this year. So with that out of the way, let's try the beer. Let's see how this beer tastes. I bottled it with a little CBC1 and some table sugar just to make sure I got a nice little bit of carbonation. Put it into this glass that's nice and clear and thin so you can really see that beautiful reddish purple color. Yeah, that's a looker. Aroma is really jam-packed with fruit. It's hard to beat fruit that, was harvested the day it was added to the beer. It's going to give a lot more aroma, a lot more character in most cases than a puree or a juice or something, particularly if it's been pasteurized, if it's been sitting around for a while, oxidized, all those things. A little bit of head retention. Obviously with sour beers you don't expect a huge amount, but ooh, really bright acidity. No vinegar or anything like that, but a combination of the lactic acid from the fermentation and probably some malic from the various fruits, particularly the sour cherries and the blackberries, really give it a surprising amount of oomph. I get a little bit of tannin from the fruit as well, but they all work together surprisingly well. I'd say the cherry comes out the most, probably followed by the raspberry. It's not quite as vibrant and fresh and just like fresh picked fruit as it probably was a year ago when I bottled it. But otherwise, it's a really pleasant beer, great expression of fruit character, and a fun excuse to use 5 different products from my backyard. Obviously, this isn't something I can scale up particularly well, but this is a fun fruit combination, and I'm a big fan of beers that have a little bit more depth to them. Sometimes it's great to have a beer that's just, straight ahead, big, bold cherry character, but this one with the 3 or 4 different fruit characters coming through, not to mention having that added complexity from the year-long mixed fermentation compared to just, say, a quick kettle souring, I think really makes all the difference. Hey. It worked out, and even if it hadn't, it was just 1 gallon of beer and a pound of fruit that I was risking. So until the next time, cheers.